Hello everyone, let's start with the coding of a false position. Here, first of all, we comes to the very first line. We have a function defined over here with an attributes of function, which is our equation, then x naught, x1, and tall wave through with this we're going to compare our approximate root value. And here is the maximum iteration, which is set to be 100. And if then we enter the function, we have a very first condition which is says that function of x naught multiplied by function of x1 should be, if it is greater than 0, then we will going to prompt an error which says initialize bracket a and b, do not bracket a root. After this, if this condition is invalid, then we're going to move on, and else conditions, and then it is we have set a variable name iteration counter. It is initialized at 0. It will count the number of iterations done in this method. Then we have a while loop which has a condition iteration counter less than maximum iteration. It will going to proceed, else it will going to break. If the iteration counter will exceed maximum number of iteration, then it will going to break. In this while loop, we have our very first line says that it has a formula which we have studied in our last video, which is x naught multiplied by function of x1 minus x1 multiplied by function of x naught divided by function of x1 minus function of x naught. So then we have after getting the x2 from this function, we will going to check the some conditions. We have very first condition is that if absolute function of x2 is less than tall, then it will going to return x2, which will go into our approximate root and number of iteration performed until now. Else it has another condition which says a function of x2 and multiply a function of x naught less than 0, it will going to change x1 with x2. Else if this condition is greater than 0, we will going to change x naught with x2. So then, and after this we going to increment a one number in the iteration counter after each iteration done in this. If the iteration reaches to 100 or more than 100, it will going to break this while loop and going to come out of the while loop and going to prompt an error which says arise an error which says false position method did not coverage within the maximum number of iterations. After here our main function going to comes to an end. Then we have defined another function which carries our equation, which is named as ex underscore function x. In this we have our equation which is x cube minus x minus 1. So after this we have called our function with root and iteration counter, which is false position equals to ex underscore function 1. Here in this we have our equation, and 1 carry, this is our x naught, and 2 is our x1. So then we are going to print our approximate root over here, and on the another line we're going to print our number of iteration over here. So let's run this code and check whether it is working or not. So it's working, and approximate root is 1.324 something, and the number of iteration performed is 16. So here it will it showed you the number approximate root of this equation, and number of iteration performed to get this approximate root is also printed on the screen.